Monday, everyone. I hope that you have had a wonderful weekend. We attempted to do a little bit of moose hunting this weekend, which we were completely unsuccessful doing, but that's okay. That's why it's called hunting and not harvesting. If
That's
you're
right.
you can totally appreciate what I'm talking about. It's like fishing. They don't call it catching. They call it
No.
fishing. That's sure. So we ended, Dr. Erica and I ended this before I just hit live, and we were talking about the idea of, am I the only one with that question? Like, I must be the one that doesn't know anything. I must be the one that only has that thought. So, Erica, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I see Dr. Stacy here in Alaska is with us. Hey, Stace, I hope you're loving this fog. It's crazy how much fog we have here in 𝗬𝗎𝗓. The other viewers, please give us a hello or say, make a comment. I love to see who is in the audience. And just so that we can acknowledge you and that we all know that we're together. So Erica, let's first start. Where do you practice? What is your niche? And just kind of give us a rundown.
Sure. Yeah. So I have two practices. I practice in a town of 400 people, which is where I live. It's a very rural area surrounded by cornfields. My second practice is in our capital city of Lincoln, Nebraska. And I see a lot of elderly people. I see a lot of the 65 and olders, as well as primarily adults, but it seems to be the 65 and older is my niche. It's also the people that I love working with, which is great because they're often, as I say, the forgotten people or the forgotten population. A lot of people don't want to work with them, but they are some of my most favorite people to work with.
And why are they your most favorite? I love the elderly as well.
Yeah.
Why do you love that?
Well, for me, they just get it. They just get chiropractic. They get preventative health. And I think a lot of it is because they have seen along the way, if I don't take care of myself, this is what has happened. And now I need to try to get in this preventative game because I don't want to get old. And even though my 84-year-old patient, Isla, says that to me all the time, I just don't want to get old. And she is constantly on the go. But they're just really wise. Some of the conversations that we have together are just fantastic. And that's what I really love about them too, is I learn just as much from them as they learn from me.
I totally agree with you. I love that. And you know what? They're so eager to share, and they're so eager
Absolutely.
to know that they matter and that you take an extra few minutes to engage with them. I mean, I really feel like the elderly population in America is taking so much wisdom with them because our society has become a society who honestly, I think kind of disrespects the elderly. Life moves so fast and we just kind of toss them to the side. And with them, there's all this history. There's all this history of relationship and history of our country and history of healthcare and history, history, and it's all going away. So Erica, what do you say to the individual who's watching this and they're like, oh, I love serving the elderly as well, but I'm terrified of Medicare?
You know what? I have just tightened my documentation up. All of my documentation has always been, would I be, if I was before a Medicare, judge or whoever, would they look at my notes and say, okay, I feel like I'm in your appointment right now? And so I probably over document, but for me, I want my bases covered and I want them to know, or I want to take my notes and have some, be able to give them to you, Dr. Barb, and be like, yep, I feel like I know exactly what she did in that appointment. And yes, the reimbursement rate is definitely less than Blue Cross Blue Shield, or because that's the big payer in Nebraska. But for me, it's been my grandma is my most favorite person in the world. And so it's like, I am going to treat every patient like my grandma. So for me, the reimbursement rate, I will gladly take an older person who wants help, great heart, over a crabby patient that's going to pay me more. Just because that is less baggage I have in my office. So that is how, you know, and I think a lot of us get really wrapped up with documentation and so scared with documentation. But for me, if you are truly doing what you say you're doing in your office, there should be no problems with documentation. And if you can't answer all the SOAP questions and the Medicare guidelines, then maybe you need to up your documentation game.
And, you know, shout out to Robin Hale, Dr. Robin Hale, who is the 11 coach in the boot camp. You know, it's interesting how life becomes a great teacher. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Robin went through 6.5-year Medicare audit and still to some degree deals with it. And so, you know, for a while it beat her up, and then she joined the boot camp and you know, like through the help of the tribe and training and my personal relationship with Robin, she's, you know, looked that monster in the face and plowed through it. And now, instead of it being the worst thing that's ever happened to her, she has created a week in the boot camp to help boot campers learn about compliance and documentation, because there's so many things that we don't know that that really can impact us. And one thing that I really appreciate about her training is it's not just if you are a Medicare doctor that you have to cross your T's and dot your I's. It's not just if you accept the benefit of insurance. And please, all of you listen, I didn't say if you take insurance, if you accept the benefit of insurance, because you don't take it. The relationship is between the practice member and the insurance company. It's like a, you know, it's a, what's it called? Like, you know, like a, you know, a tryst, right? Where those two are actually paying each other. You're obviously being paid based on what the rules are that they've established. You know, it's almost to some degree like we're the mistress when we're a provider, and has gone all over to get all kinds of certifications to be able to teach it and to know the rules, like what really is the truth about not only Medicare, but just OIG, as well as our state. And so, you know, when we know the truth, we practice without fear. When we know the truth, we practice without fear. And so let's talk for a second, Erica, too, about, Erica and I got to meet face to face for the first time at Chiropractic, which, thank you, Paul Reed. It was
awesome.
Fun to be with the tribe, and we had such an awesome time. And I asked Erica to join me to talk to you about her practice, but also to talk about the importance of finding your tribe, the importance of finding the women that you connect with that raised your level of excellence in your life while also filling your heart. I know I left on Sunday just like so grateful that I got to spend the weekend with all of you. Share with those who are watching us now, what was it like for you to be together, and what did you take away from that?
So it was really cool. So like I said, I'm from Nebraska. I just so happened to be out in Washington, Washington State, at the same time as Chiropractic, and same time Dr. Barr was going to be out there. I didn't know any of the boot camp tribe members. I didn't even know if there was people out there. And there happened to be two ladies that practice like half a mile and a mile away from my in-laws where I was staying. So we got together at the beginning of the week, which was really cool because we didn't, like, the two in Battleground, they know each other, but as all three of us, we're like, let's get together and meet before Chiropractic. And so we went to lunch, and we were at lunch for like 2 hours, and it was super, super fun. And we are all kind of in different stages of life. You know, we have one that's a mom of two, one that she's in a long-term relationship, kind of stuck. And then I'm married with 4 stepkids. So we are all kind of spread out, but the commonality was we were all at the same place in the boot camp. We all joined about the same time. We all had kind of the big, not really fears, but it was just kind of like, hey, we're so overwhelmed. Where do we start? And after that, we're like, all right, we're just going to form our own accountability group so that way we can get through this. And we know that we are not alone. Then during the week, or towards the tail end of the week, that's when we met up with you, Dr. Barb. And the whole weekend was just really, really great. It was great being able to bond with each other. It was great being able to bond with other chiropractors. The whole weekend was just a blast. But you see these people on Facebook and they're just little, you know, pictures and bubbles. It's not until you actually get out and start talking to each other that you realize how alike you are. So it was super cool.
It was so fun. And Eric and I rode up the elevator one evening and started talking about both being stepmoms and just, you know, to know, like, I'm not the only one that's called like a, you know, like,
yeah, it's called not very nice names.
Yeah, like, oh, it's not just me. Oh,
no.
and I love how you said, like, even though we're at different stages, we're all have so much in common. And that is really and truly, I think, discovered when we get face to face, when you know, we're able to take off the masks and just be ourselves. You know, I've said this a couple of times in this past couple of weeks on Facebook Lives. It was interesting, or it is interesting, how many times after I speak and people come up, they're like, oh, you're like the same person. Like, whether it's on Facebook or the stage or just face to face. And that's something I do really appreciate about our tribe is no one's trying to be somebody else. There isn't this, oh, this is the perfect life. This is the perfect practice. This is the perfect relationship. That doesn't exist. So the whole goal is instead to find out what's in your heart. What do you want to create in your life? What do you want to have in your life? And then we help you create the systems, the structures, the relationships in order to be able to do that. And now as big as the boot camp is, it's great because there are bound to be people, you know, within the boot camp who are in similar places or who've been where you are. And this is my also, I want to invite those of you who are watching to join us at the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Boot Camp, October the 26th at Life University. It is going to be an amazing time of rolling up your sleeves and creating your own roadmap, your own map for when you leave that weekend, that you know exactly what you need to do in order to have the life of your dreams. Not my roadmap, your roadmap. So Erica, what are you loving most about being in the tribe? Not just the weekend, but if somebody is watching and they haven't joined the tribe yet, what would you recommend to them?
So what I really like is if you have a question, you can put it in the group and somebody probably has an answer or can jump on board and assist you with that. What I really also like is how it stresses collaboration, not competition. So you might as well collaborate together rather than compete against each other. So like the two that were joining us, which is Dr. Kristen and Dr. 𝗓𝗓, those two collaborate so much with each other, which was so cool. They both serve pregnancy pediatric practices, but they do a lot of, they work together a lot. And if, you know, Dr. 𝗓𝗓 is struggling with a patient, she often refers them to Dr. Kirsten and vice versa. So that's super cool. And it just made me appreciate that even more because I had a situation while I was at ChiroFest where there's a natural families group here in Lincoln, the town that I practice in, and a person had posted on there regarding comments about another practice in Lincoln. And I could just see that this was going to negative town. I was like, we're just going to stop this before this other chiropractor's name potentially gets dragged through the mud when it doesn't need to be. So I just messaged that person and I said, hey, Dr. Brittany at Thrive is really great. She specializes in pediatrics and pregnancy. You're in the right place. There's lots of people that recommend Dr. Brittany. Well, I ended up getting a very nasty message from that doctor. Like I was trying to steal her patient. And I was like, no. Here's the screenshot of the conversation. And instead of like, hey, thank you for your support, or hey, thanks for preventing this from going the opposite way, there was nothing in return. And I was like, you know what? This is the example of competition over collaboration. And the boot camp is not like that at all. The boot camp is very much collaborate over compete with each other, which is cool, especially at the time where we are in society with females. Like females need to bond together and females need to work together for the common good rather than tearing each other down. And the boot camp is all about that, to build each other up.
I love that. And I love how many boot campers actually even practice in the same town and they don't see each other as competition. Right. They work together and they help together. Like Dr. Stacy is here in Alaska, and Doctors Jessica and Ryan 𝗓𝗄𝗧 are in Anchorage, and Doctors Jennifer and Sean Lovedale are in Anchorage, and Dr. Laura Hulling is in Soldat. Like they're all right here, but there's plenty to go around. Not only that, but when we're vibrating at our very highest personally, that's going to attract a certain person. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Attract, it's your vibration, right? And who you serve, and there's more than enough to go around. That is for sure. So I just wanted to say, shout out real quickly. Jandy is with us in the boot camp. Woo! She's going to be at the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Boot Camp in Atlanta, and Dr. Stacy's coming with me from Alaska. Maria Carlton's coming up from Florida. Woo woo!
Yay!
Nicholas is with us. So great to see you, ladies. And Stephen, we really appreciate you being with us today. And there's Mandy. Hey, Mandy. So as we close up, Erica, what words of advice do you have to, let's say a chiropractor who's watching right now and their practice is going really, really well. And, like they have no, like they're the healthy practice member.
Sure.
Right? And just like we say to our practice members, like, it's not just about how you feel, it's about how you function. How does that relate to practice? And how does that also relate to relationships in the boot camp?
Yeah. So, I think there's always room for improvement, right? And just in your practice in general. And when we get complacent, like the wheel's already turning, we've been doing this for 5 years and it's steadily working, then there's gonna come a day where you're gonna have to change things up. And that's, the boot camp is all about being innovative. So it's like, if it doesn't work this way, well, it's not a failure. Try it again some other way. And that's what I like about the boot camp. It's not a clear cut, one size fits all. Like, if you're worried about having to say this script at this point in time to this person, it's not like that at all. It's very much, here's the tools for you to use, but you got to make it your own and you got to make it fit for your practice. And as far as like the actual people in the boot camp, they're all working for the common goal of success. And so when you have a tribe of 400 strong, pulling in your favor for success, you're going to be successful. You just need to put in the work and participate.
Nice. I love that. And thank you so much again for such a fun weekend. After I spoke, the group of us went out to a local restaurant, which was great because we walked there, which was really nice to be outside and get some exercise. And then we all got to choose like our favorite either appetizer or entree, and then like one would come and we share it, and then we all got to choose our favorite drink and we all had to sample it. Well, all right, so have our own each, not just sample. But it was just such a fun day. And then
it was super fun.
Yeah, and then I had invited a bunch of us to join for dinner together on Friday night, and that was really fun, just to bring everyone together. And I think that there were individuals at dinner that night that maybe you wouldn't have had conversations with, or maybe you wouldn't have sat down and with. And that was my intention, was to bring individuals together that I care deeply for, and all of us to know one another. So when you see each other again, it's like, hey, I know Dr. Cordero. We had dinner together. I know Dr. Cohen. Or it was fun at the boot at Chiropractic to have so many boot camp coaches even presenting. Tabor and Matthew and Alex and myself. I thought it was super cool that we were.
It was a good lineup.
It was
a great lineup.
It was a really, really great lineup. So Erica, thank you so much for giving us your time today.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your Monday. And to all of you, thank you very much for joining us. God bless you. Have a super day.
Bye.